Welcome back. Big smile on my face. New lower day. It's been a long time. And I completely shaved my beard and left my mustache for the first time in years. I used to hide my chubby face under my beard and I saw all the Viltrumites edits. So all the stars were aligned to finally shave my beard and to give it a shot. So what do you think? Does it fit me well or do I look like a Viltrumite, the underwhelming superhero? Or do I look like SideQuest, Conquest neglected son who somehow survived being spawn killed during the Viltrumite purge? Let me know in the comments, but there is a third reason why I shaved. It's because today I am doing only one set for my quads. Sounds familiar? And before I tell you why I do only one set for my quads, I just wanted to tell you why it took so long to finally film a lower day. It's because I got injured. Don't worry, my muscle is not hanging by a thread. My leg is not about to explode. It's just an overuse injury, I'd say. My muscle felt really tight. It's exactly the feeling you have when you say, "Oh, I need a massage." And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because I found the cure. At least something worth trying before you get massaged by a professional. And the cure is self massage. So, this is a tutorial given by the opposite of a medical expert. So, I'm just one guy trying things out. But this helped me last year cure an injury that lasted for 3 months in 10 days, I'd say. Because here is the thing, when you feel that tightness, in my experience, it does not go away unless you do something. It's not something that time really heals, or if it does, it's really, really slow. And usually people have that in their lower backs and they're like, oh, it's been years since I have some tightness in my back. And the same thing can happen to your quad, to your front delt, to your chest, etc. So here is the tutorial how to self massage and what are the cues. So I'm going to use my quad as an example because I filmed some clips that I'm going to pull up probably right now. The goal is to take your hands or your massage gun and to find the tight spot. And once you find it, go slowly, do not destroy it yet. Find the tight spot and press gently and move in circles up and down as you want. And the thing you want to see most is a release. You see the muscle contracting really quickly and releasing afterwards, some movement. And if you press hard enough in the right spot, you are going to see that, but not necessarily around where you are pressing. You can press at the upper thigh, for example, and see some release at the level of the knee in an other head of the quad. So be attentive, and once you see this movement, do not stop pressing. Do not fix it if it's not broken. And when you see those movements, those spasms, if you can say it, stop, try to move up and down. Usually that tension moves. And do that for a few minutes. Don't overdo it. And then stop it. And the next day you are going to get sore and it's normal. But you will see that overall, if you zoom out, you are going to feel less and less pain. You can buy a massage gun too. This is what I use most because it's way less tiring on your hands. You can apply more pressure, and even if you see the waves of the massage gun, you can still see the irregularities when your muscles spasm, because you can think, oh, I will never be able to see, but you will be able because you will see irregularities. Don't do that every day, do that every second day. And if it's still tight or if it's a muscle that is out of reach, for example, in your traps, then see a professional. But in my experience, there is nothing to lose. And very quickly, the reason why I'm doing only one set, it's because I'm doing hack squats, and hack squats are very taxing for me. And I just wanted to give you a quick advice that you should not follow volume recommendation that seem universal, because you often see on the internet that the biceps are a small muscle that you can hit 4 times a week, they recover quickly. No. And I say no because in my experience and talking to many people, the ability for a muscle to recover based on its nature change from people to people. Me, for example, I cannot recover if I do more than 2 sets twice a week for my biceps. Quads and biceps are my two muscles that recover the slowest. Sometimes, based on my exercise, my sweet spot is between 2 to 4 sets a week for my quads. It depends on the exercise. And when I do a taxing exercise, like a hack squat or like the pendulum squat. I do one set for the workout, and then the next workout later in the week, I do maybe two sets. Maybe I do one less taxing set and one quad extension, leg extension, or maybe two sets. So, depending on the exercise, adapt your volume, and depending on your genetics, on whether your muscle recovers quickly or not, adapt your volume. Yes, it's way more likely that your chest will not be able to recover as well as your side delt, for example. But the hierarchy is not universal. Try it out for yourself. Anyways, let's teleport back to the gym. To be honest, I don't know when I'm going to film this workout because I'm still slightly injured, slightly fatigued. Hopefully, I won't have a Gandalf beard and I won't wait a few weeks. But yeah, first set probably a leg curl to warm up and see ya. Okay, so since I'm injured, I want to give a shot to leg curls before my presses because apparently it helps the knee. So I don't know if it helps my specific case, but I want to put all the chances by my side. So I like to do everything. When I don't know if doing something helps me or not, I like to do everything. So I'm sure that one of those things work. So I did some light leg extensions for my quads before because just after I'm going to do the one set of hack squat hopefully. And now I'd like to do some unilateral leg curl with a pose on top and with a depth stop, the same way I would do some alternate curls. Why? Because it's quicker. Because if I do, let's say, right leg, right leg, left leg, it's four sets, whereas here I can still have the benefits of unilateral work, but it's quicker because I only do two sets when I alternate between the two. Plus, it puts me in a good mood because it looks like I'm just laying on my stomach and kicking my feet in the air because I'm so happy. So, and this is the second time I'm doing this exercise. And even though I put all the tension at the stretch on this prime machine, I still struggle to squeeze the muscles to close out the reps, which means that I am maybe weaker in the contracted position and I should work on that. This is why I put a pause because there are some clues that I may be lacking strength in that range of motion. So yeah. I try my best to not touch the weight as it goes down, so both reps can look the same. I don't want to make the bottom part easier by letting my other leg touch the pad, the support. So, see, I start to struggle to close out the reps. Last leg day, someone put out a comment which was really interesting because he basically told me that he noticed how I breathe during my sets and that he should focus on that too, which is true. I try to breathe as best as I can, and you often see me promote lower reps, and especially for legs and for presses because you cannot breathe for bracing and for cardio at the same time. See, when you do cardio, you don't breathe in, hold your breath, and breathe out. No, you breathe continuously to have as much oxygen as possible. And when you do presses, you don't breathe continuously. You take the air in, do your rep, and breathe out as you go up. And if you do high reps, you basically have a cardiovascular constraint plus a bracing constraint. So if you do lower reps, you minimize the cardiovascular demand and you can in some way have the best of both worlds, meaning that you can breathe for bracing and you don't have the restriction of having to breathe for cardio too. You cannot breathe for optimal cardio and breathe for optimal bracing at the same time. So the best thing you can do is do lower reps, especially for exercises where the cardiovascular demands are high, which are basically leg presses, etc. You can breathe normally as you want when you do lateral raises or curls maybe, but legs do low reps for that reason. So slightly lower weight right now, still trying to squeeze. Okay, I try to push it to failure so that I can have some growth. but it's also like a warm-up set. So I like to really feel the muscle, and I just want it to be as warm as possible. So yeah, see, it's funny because sometimes I'm really close to a speaker when we work out, and in order not to be copyright striked, I try to, not purposefully, but to not hesitate to breathe, plus to talk during my sets. But sometimes it's not enough, so I I put some gym white noise that I found on YouTube to put over the music, and to basically mess up with the sound waves of specific music that some YouTube robots can recognize. And it's funny because that white noise was recorded in an American gym from the US, and every now and then you can hear the smoke alarm. So I have to edit out the smoke alarm because we don't have that in Europe, at least not the beep that you can often hear. So hack squats right now. This is the Arsenal hack squat, just for reference. And by the way, I plan on doing more conventional exercises because, of course, I like doing machines because they're more stable, because they allow me to really work the muscle as I want. But I also want to be relatable and to do things that you can apply to, so you can take inspiration. So instead of doing, for example, some incline, a prime machine, I will try to do some incline barbell bench or some barbell row. Even if it's not optimal, I think it can be interesting for you, just to then tell you what are the key differences between really good machines and free weights, and to tell you if the difference is that big or not. And yeah, so we can have feedback on both. So this is me warming up. I like to do poses at the bottom. When the weight is still low, this is just one plate. I like to do some CC variation just to really stretch all my muscles, etc. And yeah, really work the range of motion. And already trying to find the best foot placement, where to place my feet, because it greatly impacts the strength output, and I want the best one to just do my one set. That is going to matter a lot, because when you only do one set, you have to put all the parameters, let's say, in your favor, have the best strength output. It sucks to just have one set and it to be like a half set or something underwhelming because you didn't put your feet properly or because you weren't comfortable, etc. So yeah. By the way, I still don't know if I am fully recovered. My bet is no, but and this is perhaps the worst advice of my channel yet. But sometimes recovery is not just a straight line. It's not like you're injured and you get better, and then it's okay. Sometimes you get better, then you train, you get slightly worse, and then you get better again, slightly worse. And when you zoom out, you are recovering. So I'll try my best to not get injured or not to put some oil in the fire, let's say. But I think it's still good sometimes to work your muscle, even if it comes with some damage. Now, of course, it has to be controlled, and my injury is not like I'm about to rip a muscle off. There is no real risk of serious injuries, just a muscle that is quite tired or strained. And it's not like it's ripped in half and it's just hanging by a thread. So yeah, don't take my advice blindly. Be smart about it, be wise, and if there is any doubt,
just take the safe path because injuries can really follow you for the rest of your life just because of a stupid decision. So, yeah. By the way, I am using a wider lens today, just trying things out. This is for the camera nerds, but usually I'm using a 24 or 28 to 70 millimeter wide aperture, and this was is a 16, so it's quite wide. You can have a better field of view, but there can be some distortion. For example, this is me here, but if I'm staying here, I don't know if you see me, but I might be slightly goofy. You see, may have some funny proportions. So yeah, just trying things out. Let me know what you think. So this is the last warm-up set. This is 5 plates. I think I will stop at 6 and try to do as many reps as possible. Just beat my PR. So yeah, I still feel some strain. Not an excuse. I will do my best. But it's also the fact that I should manage my volume with my cardio better, meaning that now the beautiful days are coming. I go cycling more often, which means that there is some strain on my legs, but not necessarily because you can only do zone 2 like light cardio, have all the energy burning benefits, all the calorie burning benefits, which is what let's say bodybuilders should do if you want to be optimal with your cardio. But I live in an area where there is a lot of hills and mountains, so I like to go hard on hills, which means that it tires my legs. I may have to change, either I have to adapt my quad volume, my leg volume overall, or I have to go easier on my bike ride, so or a mix of both. But yeah, this is something very specific to summer, I'd say, because I really like going outside. But yeah, it's just a period where I have to adapt. This is the first time I'm in that situation because I used to not do cardio. It's quite new, less than a year, maybe. Yeah, less than a year that I do cycling, and you just have to find solution. People have done it, so why not me? So this is the top set, the only one, 6 plates. I try my best. When you have one set that is hard, put everything by your side. Try to maximize all the chances. Play some good music. Think about whatever you want to think about that puts you in a angry mood, whatever. This is the moment where, in my opinion, you can use all your emotions that you wouldn't use, let's say, in everyday life. And yeah, this is one thing I love about lifting is that you can get in and out of cool emotions that are useful, especially for those kind of situations. Usually, the reason why we get angry or we get anxious is to have physiological stress that allows us to fight or flight. And this is almost the only fight or flight situation that I encounter. You can do some combat sports, you can do whatever sports, and this is one good reason why. Yeah, we should use that. I think it's a good philosophy to have to notice everything that can serve you and to use it at the right time. So yeah, this is a lot of talk for just one set of hack squat. It feels like I'm going to war, but I'm just trying to have big quads. So let's go for it. Did I just whistle? So slightly less reps than expected. So I did 5 and failed on the 6. Last time I did some heavy hack squats. I did 1 time 6, and before that I did 2 times 6. So I was hoping to be recovered enough to do to do more than 6 reps, but although I am slightly healed, I felt some discomfort that didn't allow me to have optimal strength output. But I'm quite sure I didn't put oil in the fire, that I didn't make my injury worse. So I'm glad I did that. And also, I was training legs once a week for the past 3 weeks, I believe. So frequency matters a lot for strength, for your nervous system, also for hypertrophy. It's more opportunity to grow muscle. So looking back at it, it was obvious that I wasn't going to perform that well, because the last 3 to 4 weeks I have maybe done like 4 sets of hack squats, which is not a lot if you want to really be strong. But yeah, we are going to improve from here, and I hope one day I can achieve 8 reps with 6 plates, which is totally doable. I think when, I do not know, but we will aim for it, and it's only up from here. The best thing I could do was to go to failure, especially with 1 set. This is what I did, so I just did the best thing I could do, regardless of what I did before that or a few weeks ago, etc. So it was perfect. So calves right now, usually the rest of the workout, once I do my main hamstring and my main quad movements, I don't really care about the order of the rest. Maybe I should, based on my weaknesses, etc. But I just take the machine that is free and I go for it. And I like, for example, to pair calves with, let's say, a back extension for my erectors, which I'm going to do right after, and sometimes mix some movements that are very far apart and that have low cardiovascular demands, so I can superset them in some way, still wait 1 minute, let's say, gain some times without leaving strength outputs and gains on the table. So this is usually what I do. So calves, as usual, go heavy. These are big muscles, and regardless of the size of muscles, you should train them all the same way, in theory, of course, if they are all in the same situation, if I can say. Of course, if you are injured or etc., or if you have bad technique, just adapt your rep range. But this should only be the limiting factor, not the size of the muscle, not the proportion of fast twitch and slow twitch fibers. I think this is a good way to work your ankle mobility for squats, etc. To really go deep into the stretch without injuring yourself, of course, but take the opportunity. Okay, so last time I did that exercise, so back extension, not hip extension. Your hips should be blocked, because this is a erector movement which train all the muscle that extend the spine. Basically the opposite of a crunch. So this is a crunch, this is working your abs. Every muscle that bends your spine backwards, these are erectors, and I think these are a really cool muscle to work because they push every muscle forward. So all your traps that go above your erectors at the top of your spine, the lats too, all these muscles are under your lats and traps, etc., and they push back the muscle. And usually we are like, oh, I made some huge gain on my traps, on my lats, etc., which can be true, of course, but sometimes you make gains on your erectors and all the other muscles that are above take the credit. And usually people are skeptical about training their erectors because they're close to the spine, but if you don't rush the eccentric, if you are just wise enough, if you don't do stupid things, you should be absolutely fine. And I would also argue that it can prevent injuries too. So today I'm doing a more relatable variation. Last time I did that, I said the same things. I did that on a machine that is quite rare. So this is more accessible in most gyms. Just go here, lock your hips so that the only thing that moves is your spine, basically. Take a plate or do it body weight too. You can. put it in one spot and don't move it, because if you move, it's going to change the lever, the moment arm, and just bend your spine. Think about doing a crunch, then doing the opposite. If your hips move a bit, it's okay. They shouldn't be the limiting factor. So usually I do one hip movement and one curl movement for my hamstrings. Today I'm only doing the curl because this is very important if you want to be precise with your tracking, because I am doing a new exercise, which is the unilateral curl that I did before. And if I want to isolate the information that I'm getting out of it, I should only be doing that, because let's say tomorrow I'm sore. If I only do the hamstring curls, I'm going to give all the credits to that soreness. I'm going to be able to adapt my volume. I'm going to have all the information that I need. Whereas if I do, for example, leg curls plus a hip movement, and tomorrow I'm sore, I don't really know to which movement I am giving the credits of soreness, of adaptation, etc. So usually when, for example, we stale on a program, we like to change everything, which is good, which allows you to quickly iterate new things that might be able to make you progress quicker or to make you progress at all. But the thing is that you cannot really optimize for speed and for precision in your information, because if you really want to know if something you do works or not, you should isolate that thing. You should leave everything the same and just change that. The exact same way you would do a scientific experiment where you want to isolate the variables. But sometimes this takes too much time and you change your exercise selection and you change your split and you change your frequency, etc. Just know that when you do that, it might put you in the right track, but you sacrifice precision for speed. And I'm not saying that you should always go for precision. I like to go for speed too, but try to keep in mind that balance. So last set, my shirt, my shirt, let's call it that way, was really tight when I came up. So right now I'm going to just make it loose. These are small details, but they can really change the way you execute your movement. So So for adductors, nothing groundbreaking. I like to do them because they help you to have big legs from the front. And I really care about that because I love the vacuum pose. I do it a lot on my thumbnails, twice already. Yeah, I love the vacuum pose. And I think the vacuum pose is made better when, of course, you have big lats, a small waist, but also big quads. And the point I am making is that sometimes a good reason to train a muscle or to optimize them, of course, you should want to maximize everything. I like to emphasize the adductors because I want to make one pose look better, one pose that I really like. And if there is one pose that you are obsessed with or that you really value, it's a good goal to emphasize all the muscles that help this pose, just to have an objective, a quantifiable objective under the same lighting, same pose where you can really see the progress. So I want to make my vacuum better, I want to make my waist smaller, I want big adductors and quads, of course, and my lats. I always start by lats on my upper day. So yeah, let's go for it. As always, low reps, nothing crazy. Make sure to also, for the adductors, to always put the pad roughly in the same position because it changes the moment arm. Let's say if I put my knees here, the pad here, the distance from my hip to here is longer than, let's say, if I go here. So just to track your progress, just stick to one, and yeah. When I get ready for the for the adductors, I always feel like Gear Second Luffy. You know, when he spread his legs and he just put his fist on the ground, which is exactly how I feel like when I just put the screw in the right place. So, as every leg day, I always end up with some forearms. Uh, I like having big forearms. It's a cool muscle to have. Plus, it does not take time. Forearm pumps are amazing. And yeah, I usually switch between the bench variation from the last leg day video and the cable variation. I like to put the angle at 60 degrees, and yeah, you will see. I also always alternate between curls and extensions. These are the extensions. We will always go way lighter on the extensions. These are small muscles, not really strong. This is 50 pounds with the cable, but I think it's a double pulley system, so it's. Anyways, you should always track your reps differently with every different machine, which means that, for example, if you read, let's say, 10 pounds for an exercise or 100 pounds for one pulley, and you move to another brand, another pulley, just track separately because there are so many parameters that are not into the math of the tension that is here. So we're back in the posing room, this time for legs. It's been a long time because also I didn't tell you, but I injured my left butt cheek. I fell from my bike and it was totally my fault because you see I was in a roundabout and someone was also cycling but really slowly and he was going left and right and I just wanted to overtake him because it sucks to slow down when you are in movement, let's say. And I overtaked him, but he turned left. If I had to describe precisely the trajectory, it would have been the trajectory of an Oblivion or Skyrim NPC if it knew how to ride a bike. The guy went just left and right, and so yeah, I fell from my bike. All my weight was in my left butt cheek, and no other damage. It could have been way, way, way worse. Plus, my bike has just some minor side bruises, so I had a big smile for all the rest of my ride because I knew that things can go really, really south when you are cycling. It could have been a semi truck, it could have been anything else. So, yeah, I think it's a real superpower to first not die, don't do stupid things like I do. I will never, I hope I will never do some stupid cycling mistakes like that. But it's really a superpower to reframe things because I had just the perfect case scenario. Meaning, from the moment I hit the other biker, the best things happened to me. Minor injuries, almost nothing, plus almost no damage to my bike. So yeah, let's see the legs right now. Oh, the vascularity is coming pretty strong. Okay. It always looks better on the small screen, but I like it. You know what? Let's remove the pump cover. Well, I don't have an upper body pump, but let's see. Okay. At least to me, it looks really good. The vascularity is coming strong. Plus, I like that the quad veins here and here, they go over the vastus medialis. That's it. That's the name. And they look like striation because they go the same direction as the fibers. But yeah, you get the idea. Plus, I have a small forearm pump. Let's see from the side. Hamstring is getting quite lean, which is cool. Of course, we always have to flex arms. So yeah, this was my lower day. Hopefully I can get stronger on my hack squat, get fully back to where I was, which is going to happen. I know it. And right now, probably a talk because I love to do those talks. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. I have not recorded it yet. But yeah, let's get back at home.
Welcome back home. Post lift talk, as always, as I like to do. My legs feel okay. I'm glad about that. I didn't injure myself. Everything was controlled, so I'm quite happy. Usually, before these talks, I like to take notes because I don't want to waste your time by not being precise and concise enough. And many times I take those notes and I'm just like, hey, but that's basically the meaning of my life. So I just want to dedicate full videos to them. So more videos where I just talk about life are coming probably. But this does not mean that I am not absolutely fired up about today's subject, which allowed me to find purpose, clarity, and thus joy and just fulfillment. And the whole process was really satisfying. And I just want to share that with you because everyone can do it right now if you want to. So if you are a normal human being, plus you spend some time on the internet, you are probably confused. We live in times of abundance in everything, but especially in information. And it's easy at first to say, oh, I need more knowledge. I need to know more because you're like, I have nothing to lose. More information, more knowledge is always valuable. But what naturally happens when you know too much is that you cannot give your attention to everything. By nature, attention is only given to specific things. You can only focus on things when you ignore what's not important. And this is why I like to treat life as almost mathematics. And no, this is not about acting like robots. Fuck that. We are human maxing here. No, to me, the nature of mathematics is to translate complicated things into simple ones without losing information. And this is basically philosophy. You're taking the overwhelming, chaotic nature of the world and you try to fit a model that helps you interpret things, that helps your decision making, and what helps you narrow your attention to what matters most. So, a good first step is to capture some values that encapsulate everything you value. And I'm going to take one, for example, because I really like it. I'm not saying this is going to stay forever, but I believe it was Warren Buffett, who is very, very different than I am, that's for sure. He said that in a person, he was looking for integrity, intelligence, and energy. So, to him, and frankly to me, these are three values that basically encapsulate everything a good man can be. Of course, you can adopt whatever you want, make your own way. Many people adopt the four cardinal virtue, which are courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance. Take whatever you like, but I'm going to take the first three from Warren Buffett because I truly believe them, and the process that I'm going to share with you apply to everything. So, in order to have a more meaningful, more purposeful life, and to have just more clarity, let's flesh out what those three words mean. I think Naval gave a good definition of integrity is when what you do, what you think, and what you say are one. So let's take each one of them. You have to do things. And in order to do things, in order to take action, you need courage. So maybe a part of having integrity is having courage. What you say, you also need courage to say the truth, but you also need to be honest. A part of integrity is being honest. And it's also what you think. And in order to truly know what you think, you need some wisdom. You need to know how to listen to yourself. You need to know if you should listen to this impulse or that one. You need to know if the voice in your head is telling you something wise that is protecting you or encouraging you in the right direction, or if it's just the voice of a primal impulse that is not worth listening to. So, in order to have integrity, you need some wisdom, you need some courage, and you need to be honest. And of course, you need to think what you say, to say what you do, and to do what you think. It's really easy to imagine someone who says what you think but does not do the thing. And yeah, that's basically me. I am a recovering coward. a recovering procrastinator. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that, and we just have to move forward. It's also easy to imagine someone who does what he says, but he does not truly think it. He has discipline, he does what he says, but he can be escaping something that's truly worth going for. And the last case, it's also easy to see someone who does what he thinks, but does not say it. These are the charlatans. These are people who do things but hide it from you to maybe sell you something. These people lack integrity. So let's talk about intelligence right now. What can you do to get smarter? You need information, and information comes from action. You need to do things in the real world in order to have feedback, to see the patterns, to learn from them, and to adapt. And in order to do those actions, first, you need some courage. The same courage you need to be someone with integrity. And you also need energy in order to iterate, to do many things, to have more information, to have more opportunities to do feedbacks. And this brings me to energy. What is energy made of? It's made of physical energy. Of course, you need to be in shape, you need to be healthy, but it's also made by being focused and being in a state of play. This is why video games are successful, because you can focus on one thing that is fun for endless hours without getting tired. And what you have probably noticed is that when you flesh out those three qualities and you get to the bottom of them, to the bedrock, if I can say, you end up with qualities that repeat themselves. So what does that mean? It means that if you fix something, an area of your life, it can have a direct impact on something you do not expect. For example, you can be like, oh, I don't know enough things, I need to learn more. You do not have an intelligence problem. The problem you have is that you lack courage to take action, to make feedback. Maybe you think, oh, I'm doomed, I'm not smart enough, I cannot make a place for myself in this world. But maybe the genius you are is hidden behind your cowardice. Maybe you are a smart guy that immediately notices patterns when he fails or when he succeeds, and that can adapt quickly, but you will never know because you don't take action. And the reason why you don't take action is maybe cowardice, but maybe you simply do not have the energy. And in order to fix that cowardice problem, this lack of action, you need to fix your physical health. Maybe you are smart, maybe you have some real life experience, etc. You make those feedbacks, you have physical energy, but it's just not aimed at the right direction. So you need more integrity to do what you think. And maybe that takes courage too. You might be confused, but what I am getting at is that take your values, flesh them out, see where you are lacking, try to really get at the bottom of things. And you might think it's really complicated, but it's really not. Because we all have weaknesses, if I can say, that are obvious. So take a pen, write them down, try to identify what is the real problem. If your lack of energy is coming from your physique, or if it's because you lack clarity. And if you lack clarity, is it because you lack the courage to take action? Try to identify the core problem you have. And if you don't find it, if it's too complicated, this is the answer, is that you don't take enough action to have the information you need. Because if you take enough action, this is going to be as clear as a glass. We think that the gap between who we are, a mess, and the person we want to be, we aspire to be, we think that there is a huge gap, but sometimes we just fix one thing that is going to improve all the rest of our qualities. Meaning that if you fix your energy, it can improve every area of your life. If you fix your courage, it can improve every area of your life. We think that in order to close the giant gap between who we are and who we want to be, we have to make drastic steps. But in my experience, it's usually just one pebble into a gear system that blocks everything, which means that if you find where you are lagging, you can have immense return on solving that problem, life-changing. So I encourage you to find this thing. If you do not, just take action, take feedback, you will find it eventually. Have integrity, have energy, have intelligence, be courageous, trust your wisdom. You are probably wise enough. You just need to focus on the right things. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. See ya.